In 1991, Nintendo's dominance of America's console market was challenged by a company most notable for their arcade games. Their name was Sega, and their console, the Sega Genesis. There were two major factors to this. The first was cutting the price of their system down enough to look like a cheaper alternative to Nintendo, and the second was their marketing.
It swept the country like a plague. Thousands of helpless teenagers trapped in a dull, drab world of colorless video games. But there is hope. Color?
Let's just say Sega wasn't out for a friendly rivalry.
The full-color portable video game system that separates the men from the boys.
Looking back at every commercial Sega made during that time, it was clear. They were out to make themselves the big deal, the new hotness, and Nintendo was old and busted, and they hammered the point big time with big-name sports stars and Michael freaking Jackson. And also this.
Genesis does
16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does
16-bit sports action.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis does.
What Nintendo?
What I think what this Genesis does add that people overlook is that Sega were on the path to the attitude of 90s youth culture. It was all about rebellion, sticking it to the man. And who were more of the man than Nintendo? And after this commercial, they were going to get harder, edgier, and louder. Like this commercial where Ethan Suplee hits himself with a dead squirrel.
Whoa. Color.
Why? Well, why not? And there was one thing to make sure Sega had this image of harder, edgier, and louder. It needed to be blue that pisses over everything. That's right, Sonic the Hedgehog. He was bold, brash, and meant to replace Sega's old boring mascot Alex Kidd. Who wants a dumbass kid for a mascot? Sonic had more of an image. So much so there was a few scrapped ideas to his character. He was going to have a rock band, fangs, and a human girlfriend named Madonna. And all three eventually came true in some way. Along with that, Sonic would bring something new to the platformer genre: speed. Head programmer Yuji Naka found it disappointing that Mario games could not be cleared quickly enough, so he went with that idea as the main influence of the new game. No need for a run button. Sonic was fast enough and all you needed was one button to jump. It was simple and got the job done. And get the job done, Sonic did. Sega chose to package Sonic the Hedgehog with the Genesis in 1991, right as the Super Nintendo headed into market that Christmas. With that and cutting the console's price, Sega won this battle, 2-1, having 65% of the 16-bit console market in 1992, and ended up winning Christmas 4 times in a row. Nintendo really had no choice but to fight back. That's right, it's time to get edgy.
We want to be free. We want to do what we want to do. We want to have a good time. And that's what we're going to do.
All night long, my body burns while she's waiting cold. The lights are on as we go, and anything lose control. The pounding on my window just stop pounding in my head. I wonder who was in my room that night. Who was in my bed?
Yes, the Butthole Surfers, Mario, Yoshi, and Kirby graffiti to be more hip, and a tagline of "Give the world a wedgie." The 90s were a mistake, yet a miracle at the same time. Sega! But anywho, at the time, Sonic was a real symbol of 90s attitude before becoming a symbol of badly thought out game design. So let's go back to that attitude era and see what came out of Sonic at the Genesis height in 1992. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Yeah, I'll be skipping Sonic 1, mainly because it's just okay nowadays and more of an experiment to see how Sega could make a game like this. Everything good about Sonic 1 was made even better in Sonic 2. Sonic's much faster and the level design is catered around that concept much better. There's multiplayer thanks to Sonic's new best friend Miles Tails per hour, who also acts as a way to collect rings and get extra hits in, if he actually does that. Most of the time he dies or just disappears. And finally, Sonic has a new ability that was much needed after Sonic 1. Pressing down any button makes Sonic do a spin dash, letting him gain more speed. It's this function alone that puts Sonic 2 over Sonic 1. Also, Sonic 1 had no continues, which Sonic 2 does, so screw that. But let's stop comparing 1 to 2, and since Sega started this rivalry, let's compare this game to Mario's last game, Super Mario World. I drooled all over this game last episode, so how could Sonic 2 compete? Mario had more worlds, branching paths, the ability to freaking save. Why play Sonic over Mario? Well, both games are very different stylistically. Mario's all about correct dodging and attacking, thinking things out. Sonic, however, is a game that doesn't require a lot of correct jumping and timing. I mean, it does, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of moments like that, but Sonic is like watching the blast processing of the Genesis take its course. Like in the first level, Emerald Hill, you can just sit back and watch Sonic take off. And when you do need to spring into action, not a lot is required of you. In Mario, you have to do a correct running jump or kick the shell in a correct way to hit something? No way. Sonic has the D-pad and every button to jump. That's all you need. Now Mario does trump Sonic in amount of levels, but sometimes less is more. Sonic's levels are coded in branching paths much like Mario's overworld. Each time you play the level, the experience can be different, and even Sonic has many secrets to find, as well as having more interesting set piece for his levels. Mario has been criticized for using the same level formats again and again, the grass level, the desert level, repeated until the end of time. Sonic starts with a grassy green level, but there's waterfalls, spikes, coconut trees. Sonic has a water level too, but instead of a plain ocean theme, it comes off as a submerged underwater Greek civilization. Plus there's an industrial toxic waste factory level, a level where you go through a volcano, a casino level where you can even gamble rings. And an oil rig where the entire ocean is oil. Oh yeah, I guess Sonic is a freedom fighter and an environmentalist. There's 2 more 90s tropes for you. If there's one field Sonic 2 definitely does better than Super Mario World, it's its boss fights. One of my few complaints for Mario World was its lackluster bosses, but every fight with Dr. Eggman or Dr. Robotnik, whichever you prefer, is more memorable, more challenging, and more fun. The option to save seems a bit behind the times at first glance, but Sonic 2 isn't a long game, and there's nothing more enjoyable than zipping through Sonic 2 again, and again, and again. It's really a game you can pop in at any time to play through until you game over. However, when you do get a game over, it can be a real pain because you only have so many continues, and when they're up, it's back to the title screen. Thankfully, Sega saved us with the power of cheat codes. Hidden in Sonic 2's sound test is a secret string of codes that can unveil a stage select, allowing you to access the levels you missed much easier. Now you know those Chaos Emeralds? Those little hidden trinkets that just got you the good ending in Sonic 1? Well, they have the ability to change Sonic into a form you haven't seen before. One so powerful, he'll be super fast and invincible to the point where only falling into a pit can stop him. But you need to collect all of them first, which means you need to collect 50 rings, go into a checkpoint, and hop into a ring that transports you to a special stage where you need to collect a set amount of rings before the game tells you no. And it's one of my least favorite things about this game. It's not fun and also really hard to complete. Thankfully, doing this doesn't alter the game in any way, it's just here if you want the best ending. So of course I entered a code to get all 7 emeralds. Holy shit. Now this is pretty damn awesome. Wait a minute. 7 trinkets of power, a character that turns yellow and has their hair stick up. That sounds familiar. But hey, speaking of copyright infringement, the plot of Sonic 2 involves Sonic and Tails stopping Dr. Eggman from creating his greatest weapon, the Death Egg. I assume Dr. Eggman watches a lot of movies. I get comparing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 to Super Mario World for all this review seemed pointless, but it was really a mission for me to see the strengths in a game I never really saw the appeal before by comparing it to one of my favorite games of all time. Even without the comparison, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is really a strong platformer that improves greatly on the first, and manages to stay original among the various other titles of the time, and in the future. And with that, I can call it one of the greatest games of the 90s. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Sorry this took way too long to come out. I was dealing with some stuff in my personal life, but if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend you watch the last video I made, which was on Super Mario World. And if there's any games you want to see on this show, shoot me a recommendation. I'll see you next time.